Now we will talk about data analytics in gaming. And to start this new part of the conference day, I will invite our second keynote speaker for today, Siyu. She's a global director data science and a global director for data science and analytics at Gameloft. And she says that we are in an era where the gaming industry needs data science. Her talk will cover interesting use cases of data science applications in game analytics. So without any further ado, Siyu.
Let me just check. Yeah, this works. Oops. So, first of all, I don't know how many of you are here in the morning, but I was personally impressed by the great presentation by Rock and Pavle from Outfit 7 and Ubisoft. And they give I was literally just taking photos and thinking about digesting the content is great. It's a nice occasion as well for me to found Pandora, which combines game and data. Because if you ever work as a data practitioner in game industry, you found it very hard to find a conference that just for that. So thanks for the organizers for that. So my topic would actually complement a bit the topic from Rock and from Pavle, who are more focused on the machine learning in production and the framework, the technical framework supporting the data scientists. On my side, I will talk about data science and analytics, which is also a core part of how we function in our company. So before I talk about you, thanks a lot for joining the session here and spend the next 45 minutes with me. I want to know a bit about you. And let's start with whoever worked ever right now in the gaming industry. Great, yes. Okay, who are data practitioners? And it can be double choice. Okay, a lot. We are in a data science conference. And the rest are just curious others. Okay, great. Players, who here? Well, consider players. You can define anything as player, casual, hardcore. Who are players? Never played the game? Okay, maybe you have a very harsh definition of players, but casually it can be counted as well. Who here are more like a mobile player? You would consider you play mostly on mobile. Great. Okay, rest is PC console. And of course there are different games, and here I'm mostly talking about video games. Now a bit about me. I'm Siyu. I'm from China, as you can tell from my name. I'm leading the data science and analytics team at Gameloft. Counting this year, now it's 5+ years in game industry. Before Gameloft, I was in Blizzard. You probably know they have nice new games out as well, which is quite exciting. I'm trying it out. Before the game industry, I've always been in the data science domain. I was starting my data science career when there's if you search data scientist in Indeed or LinkedIn, there's just literally no job position like that. So I'm lucky to start in a fintech startup, and then later at Booking.com as well. And now I feel like, okay, gaming is the DNA for me. I will be here a bit more years. And my team is divided into 3 sub-teams. We have data analysts just focus on games and help the game teams, and we have analysts focus on marketing teams, helping them with different dashboard and insights. And we have the more R&D part is the data science team doing different things that support people with a bit more advanced statistical techniques. Agenda for today. So hopefully I can measure time very well. We have a timer somewhere. We are on to the track of some of the topics I would like to share with you and hopefully engage you as well to talk about our application in game. And this is the part that I mainly focus about, which In contrast to LaForge in Ubisoft, my team is more on the application side. We're still doing a little bit of R&D, but it's not our core responsibility and daily routines. Okay, start with Gameloft. I don't know how many of you are aware, Gameloft is actually quite an old player in the game industry. If you count it, that's 23 years old now. We have a lot of offices around the globe. Paris is our HQ, but our major studio developed games are in local studios, Barcelona, Montreal in Canada, and so on. We produce a lot of games throughout the year. I would say this year is not the best year for game industry, mainly for some mobile publishers that you might heard of the layoff news. So for Gameloft, I think there's certain innovation keep Gameloft still going, and they've touched very quickly about that. Our game portfolio, Asphalt is certainly my favorite go-to racing game. We also have games now on PC console as well, so it's not just mobile as probably 3 years ago, it's mobile only. We have Disney Dreamlight Valley, Speedstorm, and more of the games are going to be cross-platform, and you can play Asphalt even on Switch and Xbox for free. That's it. And some of the nicer words, I wouldn't bother you too much about that, is the awards we are getting. And the interesting part, the part of the innovation I'm talking about, is also related to our strategy towards different platforms of games. How we are capturing nowadays players' behavior change. Before is focused mostly on mobile players. And we realize, okay, after COVID as well, there are more and more players willing to spend more time in their console, portable console or console at home, on their games. So we also adapt our strategy to go to cross-platform, all platforms, including subscription as well. We're working with different tele providers, and there we are also use game as a service as one of our business models. So in the beginning, we start the business model as premium, so you pay the game in mobile, and then it's free to play for maybe 10 years already. Now we are also going back to a bit of hybrid zone that you can try and later pay. So that's like the innovative part of the business model at Gameloft. Enough about the company itself, about the data teams. A snapshot for our data. We have a lot of data. I think the number I pulled is probably a few months ago. I'm pretty sure now with the new games we're launching, it's going to be larger and larger. And thanks to our BI team, our data lake team, they're doing a hard work to clean it and to bring it into the data science team and data analysis team so we can make use of it. And obviously, we touched a bit about the tracking topic earlier, and it is always a compromise between having more trackers, getting more data from our players versus, okay, but we don't want the game to be, clunky and slow for our players, so let's only track the things we must need. Otherwise, we don't need to set up right now. So there's always a compromise in between those. And a bit about our team mission. Because in every different game companies I've chatted with, I feel the data science team or data science and the analytics team, they all have different missions. So at Gameloft, we trying to, still advocate the concept of data products rather than being a service team and just provide data. The year of just provide data, I think is already past us. Is now about how do we make use of data? And in order to make use of data, we also need trustable data. We also need data we can take action on. We always ask ourselves, okay, now if we share this with our business team, okay, the game team, marketing team, so what? If the answer is, actually we don't know, then why do we share it in the very beginning? So this is usually the kind of mindset our team start to learn over time and ask ourselves and make us more effective in our communication and planning. Okay, let's talk about the data science applications. So this is my personal take throughout, the years in Blizzard and in Gameloft. I tend to categorize things. I don't know about you, but I really like to categorize things because things are very scattered. It brings some structure into explain to people who's completely not familiar with data science and think it's buzzword. This business verticals categories and then DS categories. On business vertical sides, again, I tend to divide into there's always support for our games. Either it's games in creation, so very early phase, and we don't really have live players yet, and games in production. So we have millions of players and tens of thousands of players in a concurrent hour. How do we get the information out and tell our game teams, hey, actually here we could improve because they're getting stuck there and they just quit because they cannot continue. So it's important to translate that into an information that is useful to be take action on. And then obviously marketing. So if you're ever from a game company that is free-to-play model, your marketing team is very important. We used to have a saying at Gameloft is like, no matter how good your game is, well, for a free-to-play game, no matter how good your game is, if your marketing, if your CPI is too high, it's just not going to work. So even if the game is great, the design is nice, and the artists, the designers spend days to fine-tune the detail of the game, make it really high quality. But if the marketing is expensive, for a company that profitable company is very hard to continue. So marketing is super important. It's sometimes even at the core of who we are going to support. And obviously, the last business vertical is itself. We need to capture the trends out there. Well, this year, I need to say, I wouldn't say the keyword that everybody says, by the way. Needless to say, there's a lot of advances happening this year. And every time, well, as someone who leads the data science team, when I talk to CEO, our ESCOM, they will ask me, okay, what should we do now? Has everybody else trying the new thing? Are we the kids that left behind? Shall we also think about what we are going to do in the coming months or next year? So we still need to leave the R&D part within the business verticals so that we can catch up with the trends that are happening in our industry. And then this level of data science. And again, spoiler alert, that is very subjective. I divided it into 3 parts. The first part is predictive analysis. So you can leverage whatever you can do for prediction, for leverage machine learning techniques, but your final goal is to form an analysis and share with a business person who can take action upon that, who can take a decision. Is A or B or C? Which way should we go? The second part is prediction as a product or a system. So this is something that is coherent, embedded in the game. Is the kind of application that's directly facing, could be our players, our clients, or our partners when it comes to advertising in gaming. This is also a core part that why some of the things are still working nowadays in the free-to-play games. And then the final parts I'm going to touch very shortly in the end of the presentation is AI for gaming dev, how to develop games using AI, and this is going to be in the end of the presentation. And for the color coding, you already noticed that I would refer to the first 2 as the traditional machine learning, as in AI is the new case now for the application parts. Some of the use cases reference to a nice website showcase the use cases of different data science application in gaming, and some of them is no stranger to, even if you are not from gaming, you are from e-commerce, you are Airbnb, you are other companies. Like those are, how do I say, the routine task. You start your day 1 building that. I know in some companies they might have 3 data science teams building the same model just to improve the actual 1%. And some of them we are still using it as our main use cases in Gameloft for our games. And I'm going to start with a few categories for the application at Gameloft. The first category is monetization. The story of data science team being born at Gameloft is start with monetization team. It's not start with game team or tech team or marketing team. It start with monetization. Our VP monetization figured out that without data, we cannot optimize. And maybe we can do things more smartly if we have data scientists join the team. So that's how the team was born. So that's also one of our main field of application. There's 3 common used monetization methods in free-to-play games. For the gaming specialists, you probably are very, very familiar with those models. And you know I'm already outdated because there's also a model pay-to-win nowadays. In the other room, the crypto guys, yes. So I'm already getting outdated, obviously. Right now at Gameloft, we tried once with Asphalt9 that we can get a special card that is only for you, and you can buy it as NFT. But that's like finished. That's a one-time thing we tested, but it's not, continuous yet. The infrastructure is still yet to be built. But those are the 3 models. Either you can buy something in the game, so it's called in-app purchase (IAP), or is you watch ads. Every time you watch ads, we earn some money. Or is you subscribe. So as long as you subscribe, well, the most popular example would be World of Warcraft. You subscribe and you pay. Once you finished, you cannot play anymore. So, IP optimization. I use the nice screenshot of one of my favorite games outside Gameloft. It's Supercell Brawl Stars. I like the nice colors to showcase. So, this is an example of a very typical IP shop inside a mobile game, free-to-play mobile game. They have different categories you can easily browse. They probably have hundreds of items you can buy with real money or with the so-called hard currency, soft currency. In the end, the question is always translated to those 6 keywords. Who are we going to target? When do we want to show them this item? What exactly the item we want them to buy? Where do they fund? And every time you win a race or every time you lose a race, maybe there would be a pop-up to tell you, maybe you can try this, and it would help you with your next race. And how much, obviously, the pricing topic. But this is not the most difficult part. The most difficult part is why. Why the players would like to buy. For some of you, I don't know, have you ever made a purchase in a free-to-play game? Anyone here? Don't be shy. Be proud. Okay, thanks. So before I joined the game company, I never paid. So I play free-to-play games. I just grind and grind and grind. I earn a lot. I save a lot of hard currency, and then I spend on things I like. But once I joined the game company, I start to think, okay, but then why do people pay? Sometimes we check our community comments, and they say, I just want to show my gratitude for the developer because it's a free game. Or people, on the other hand, they just want a premium experience, and they could feel they're more powerful, or they look better, or they just want to be top of the leaderboard, and they're just 1 or 2 places away. You can argue is greedy sometimes, is aggressive sometimes, but this serves some of the players' needs, and everyone have a different reason to make a purchase. And on the data science team side, we're trying to figure out. We can never find the ground truth. We're trying to guess, and then we ask our sister team, the survey team, to ask people, hey, what's the most enjoyable moment in the game? Why do you make this purchase? And help us understand better how we are going to make the game better in the future. So all of this, why is it relevant to our team? So what can we do? With the goal of, the primary goal of improve experience for our players in-game, either free players or paying users. So we want to predict if the player is going to pay or not. And this has a lot of caveats there, obviously, because the game is constantly changing. The feature we used yesterday might not exist tomorrow, and we might not, the model we trained yesterday didn't capture the most important feature that the game introduced to tomorrow. So there's always a bit of caveats, and we're trying to use as generic features as possible. We want to analyze what's the top conversion point. A very good example would be, I don't know if you heard the Candy Crush story, or in our case is the level up story, which is you enter a moment, what we call is the paid gate. So you enter a moment, you are very struggle to continue because it's getting to a new level of difficulty. Either you ramp up your hard currency, or you're very good in your skill, which is very rare in the players because you need to really, really be very, very good. For example, with the racing and so on. Then that's the top conversion points. And we want to predict after this conversion point, where would be the next conversion point. And obviously what offer categories do we want to offer something that is pure vanity? You know what vanity is? It's pure like cosmetic. It's the opposite of pay to win, because even if you buy cosmetic, it doesn't impact are you going to win or lose or not. So either is that category, or is something that is just hard currency. You just, you know, we found out in our players very unique patterns. There are players that only buy hard currency, and they have the unique strategy. They only buy it in promotion, and during promotion period, they save up a lot of hard currency. They make use of the hard currency for all the other purposes. Well, unlike other players who only buy bundles or chess gachas, that is sometimes not guarantee you get, you know, just the hard currency. But they're both enjoying themselves in the games. They trying different strategies. Some strategy, I would argue, is more have a higher ROI than others. So for sure, our players did the homework how they can make most use of the IP items in the shop. Final one, dynamic pricing. I will talk about that in the next slide, because it's not as we can do a lot nowadays with IP optimization, and here to explain why. First of all, technically, it's hard to say when do we make a prediction. The moment that we make a prediction is already outdated, because people would come at a later time and they're coming back with a different experience, different motivation to play the game. Some players, they pay very early. Like we have some use cases that they didn't even start the first race, they just finished the tutorial and they already bought something. When we show the charts to our game team, they were like, okay, maybe we should make the tutorial shorter so they can just, you know, enter the game and go to the shop and buy the thing they want. But some players pay very late. We have players, you know, some of our games are more than 5 years old. We have players who played 3 years the game, never purchasing like my strategy before. Maybe they joined the game completely later on. But then they make the first purchase after 3 years of playing, and we want to correlate the key moments they enjoying the game so much and make them to convert. It just excites me every time I found this data and get to know we are very close to the players, and we are very eager to figure out, okay, what is his or her emotions and motivations. And last but not least, in the end, remember I talked about actionable being one of our goals of the team. What are the actions that our game team can take? So we give them the prediction, okay, you are going to pay, you are going to churn. So what now? Do they take some actions to the players itself? Otherwise, it's all meaningless because you are just doing the same game as you go. There are other challenges as well, and which is quite important. This year is particularly important that I get to have more and more conversation with our legal team as head of data science. The first one is fairness, and the second one is ethical machine learning or ethical AI. Because there is a new regulation coming and is impacting European Union. we are not allowed to give automated decision, as in machine is the only one who is making the decision to our players. I'm a machine, that I'm a model trained by machine learning. I decide what content you will see, what item you can buy. I design for others, the other items they can buy. Is legally not allowed if the user is not aware and is not consent to tick that box. We cannot apply owning pure machine learning decisions to the players. So this is actually impacting a big part of all our models before, and we are going to refine that. The second one is related obviously to fairness. So think about dynamic pricing. Just because I know you would pay anyway, I keep the same price for you. Just because I know you wouldn't pay anyway, I give you like $1 promotion, so you can just pay $1 and buy a lot of stuff, okay? Is it fair to our players? Our players talk to each other. There's community. There's Twitch, there's Twitter, there's Reddit, and there's all the community. They can share screenshots with each other in different countries, different platforms, and different mobile device. You know, there's high-end mobile device and low-end mobile device. So obviously, this can be some use cases before, some time ago, but they shouldn't be allowed because, well, at least for us, we reach an agreement internally that fairness is more important than the yield, than the small margin optimization. The reputation matters more in the long term for us and for our players as well. Okay, then what should we do? Should we just kill all the machine learning model and you know, my team finish the job? We no longer produce machine learning models and apply it to IP optimization. Well, first of all, we need to give the choice back to the players. So it is similar as the iOS 14.5. I don't know if you heard of that. You can tick a box. Now, every time if you install an application on iOS store, you need to tick allow the app to track. So similarly, if you want to enjoy the personalization among the 200 items, which one actually, if you buy, it will serve your purpose more rather than spend 5 minutes to search for what you want to buy. You can opt in and opt out. And anytime you want to do that, you can actually do that. And transparent communication. Mobile games, free-to-play mobile games is not the easiest monetization model to explain sometimes. It can be very complicated. I don't know if any of you heard of piggy bank. When I first introduced to the concept of piggy bank, I was very puzzled. I don't know why I need to pay to get something out. So transparent communication and very clear reminders to explain how things work inside the game is also very important, is to educate the players. At least they do not enter into something that they purchased and they would regret. But of course, if you regret, you can get a refund later on. So that's all about IP optimization. Is a big part of free-to-play games. As optimization, a lot of free-to-play games, for example, business model for Voodoo is focused purely, well, now they're changing to a hybrid model. Before it's focused purely on ads. So every time you finish a game, or even if you just open the application, you see an ad pop up. It can be all the different formats of ads, and people are still innovating on the different formats of ads. My favorite one would be rewarded video because it's non-intrusive, it's not aggressive ads. Basically, it's at your choice. If you want to watch it, you can, but if you don't, you enjoy the game without ads. All those different type of ads, it ends up with the same keywords, almost the same keywords as the IP optimization. So who, when, what, where, and the last one is important, how often. You don't want to bombard your players with like 2 minutes ads, even if I just play like 3 minutes. I play the session ends 1 minute, and then I'm watching 2 minutes ads continuously. It's a very bad experience. It hurt the retention, and the players, they also talk to each other, right? Like, don't play this game. It's just ads game. They leave the comment in the app store. Then it has a series of negative impact on the organic stores. then the keyword here for ads optimization is balance. At one hand, you cannot just produce a free-to-play game without any income, without any revenue. On the other hand, you also would not to hurt your players' coherent experience inside the game. So what do? You're trying to reach a balance. You're trying to find the exact points. If I show you an ad, you will just be like, okay, it's a rest for me. I just finished a great game. Now I'm watching a few seconds rest. That's okay because I will wait for my next round. Or you just failed a race and you feel like, okay, I want to continue, but I don't want to continue from scratch. Maybe I click this reward video button and finish an ad, and so I can continue my last session, and they actually save me time to start from scratch. So on our side, we're trying to talk with our ads monetization team to see, okay, what exactly we can help you, because if we just design exactly the same role for everybody in the game, including free players, paid players, it probably wouldn't be the optimized situation. So we want to know who is more sensitive to ads. As in, we check our historic data, find out the last moment people never come back to the game is after they interrupted with interstitial ads. And if that has correlation, we're trying to not do so much often and not make it a very lengthy interstitial to those players. I just said that the top ads trigger points do not make it just randomly everywhere. Find the moment that players actually take a break from their minds, from their eyes. Finally, we have all the different parameters we need to fine-tune for different player segments. The frequency, the capping, as in daily capping. If you play the game 24 hours, I hope you don't, you still wouldn't see like infinite ads out there. And there's also a parameter, what we call ads fatigue, is that once you watch an ad, there wouldn't be ad at least for a few minutes, because otherwise you enter into ads fatigue, and this is a bad experience for you. Okay, ads optimization, now it's subscription optimization. All those battle pass, some people say that's the best innovation, like best innovation in mobile monetization since 2021. Why is it like so popular? Battle pass, season pass, event pass. If you ever play games, if you ever enter into free-to-play games, there's always different names, but eventually it's the same thing. Is that it's a subscription model. You either subscribe, you can still play the game as it is, or you can subscribe to the primary version so that you get more exclusive rewards, and you enter the game faster. You get something that others wouldn't get. So that's the whole idea of subscription model in free-to-play gaming. It has a lot of design decisions to make as well. In the beginning, there's not so many tiers of subscription. You just have one subscription, and then you don't subscribe. But with time, we realize, okay, maybe subscription could be a bit expensive for some, or the subscription people get is getting too boring. They're eager for more. So we want to create different tiers of subscription to cater to the different needs. And pricing versus rewards, you always want to balance that. You cannot have one season that is like super great rewards, and for the same price next season, you don't like the rewards. So it's always a balance with the discussion of the game designers. So how to make it fair and make it consistent over time. Why is a great innovation in the monetization side is a double optimization? Because from the data we see in the beginning of the games when we introduce subscription, battle pass, and season pass, so both the monetization increase and the player engagement increase. So it actually has a positive feedback loop to the players. They are getting a sense of feeling that they want to fulfill some kind of mission, and they then continue to unlock different milestones. Is a quite nice design. However, it's very hard to A/B testing the different subscription design, because it usually lasts for months or 40 days. is very hard to do A/B testing because of that, and it's also very hard because players, they share screenshots, and you don't want them to feel like, okay, I'm in a A group of this season pass, and you are A/B testing me. So in the end, is a lot of challenges how we can actually applying a lot of machine learning there, but there's a lot of analysis over time to improve how we design battle pass and season pass for our games. Now we enter the next section. After all the application ideas, how we can change design of the game, change actions of the game, change what we want to show to our players, what we don't want to show, but how do we know it works? This is a question that bothers us for a very long time, simply because sometimes it's very hard to set up the A/B testing in the mobile games, and also it takes time. It takes opportunity cost. It needs to enter into the priority list of our game teams, game designer, and game devs. A/B testing. You have version 1, version 2. You show it randomized to your players, and then you find out which one is better. That's very simple concept. If we can do that, we always want to do that. It is needless to say that we spend a lot of time to building the A/B testing framework to make it as easy as possible to test it in our games, so we can get the results as soon as possible. And this is literally causal relationship. We know exactly is better because of this change in the game. My team is already trained into getting the expectation that not every A/B testing will be successful. We almost enter into the imposter syndrome that if we see there's a 10% uplift, we will be like, okay, definitely something wrong in the setting. Definitely something wrong in the setup, that maybe the data is wrong, maybe randomization is broken, maybe, I don't know, there's a crash that is caused by some features. So we usually look at into the range between 1% to 5% to know that we can roll out to the next stage, roll out to worldwide population. I don't know about you, is some of our interesting discussion throughout the years. But there are some scenarios you cannot A/B testing. Is actually quite often when it comes to marketing, when it comes to just now I mentioned the subscription model, you cannot apply the A/B testing. So what could we do? There could be causal inference. There's a lot of statistical techniques. Even 10 years ago, people start to look into how do we conduct causal impact analysis. How do we form synthetic control group, even if there's no control group? The by default go-to technique we use at Gameloft is called causal impact. It's an open source library developed by ex-Google colleagues. Is quite often used, especially for our marketing use cases. I don't know if you're familiar with this sentence. Is very common for us to communicate to our marketing team that if you're wasting your money, if you know you're not getting your money back, you need to know at least where. If without a measurement framework in place, it's very hard to know. Why? Because we have all the different activations happening at the same time. Let's imagine a situation, we're launching a new game. Yeah, you cannot say, hey, just because I want to measure the impact of my performance UA, I don't allow all the other team to do anything in the same period because I just want to know the performance of this. Well, it's not possible because when you first launch a new game, you do everything together, everywhere. And then 1 week later, our marketing director come to us and say, hey, analyze for us, out of the 8 factors that is happening exactly at the same time at all the countries worldwide, which one bring the most value to us? Which one bring the most uplift? And we will be like, you know what? It's very hard. You have a lot of factors play in interaction with each other as well. As in, just give an example. A recent analysis we found is that if we just run one campaign in one geo, let's say United States, you actually bring less results. So, sorry, let me rephrase. If you run one campaign in July and another campaign in August, influencer campaign, add up the results together is less than you run 2 campaigns in different channels at the same time in one country. Because they have holistic marketing effect, they interact with each other, and you bring the bump to, you reach the audience you could not reach with just one single channel. And this is the insights, at least it's actionable insights that to guide the future marketing directions. But still, the puzzle is there. It's very hard to solve, and it's very hard to tell. Just come back to our marketing director and say, you know what, you shouldn't do influencers because they bring absolutely 0 installs. It's very hard to indicate that. Let alone, we have the issue of iOS 14.5, ATT, the privacy thing. We cannot have attribution. We cannot know exactly you install our game because you watch the Facebook ads or Google ads. And Google privacy policy will come in this year. They are still finalizing things, but every time they communicate to us, they're getting it close. Maybe it will be early 2024. They're going to fully deploy it worldwide. And it will be similar situation as iOS 14.5, I think. And cookies is always there. It's already for a long time. You cannot trust the tracking 100%. Okay, this is a framework I'm very proud of. But I give my credit to Eric Benjamin's article. I highly recommend to read it. Flying blind, because it's a year for data science team to help our other team to fly blind. They didn't realize that we have to sometimes fly blind. Imagine the green star is the final ground truth you will never know. So you know the ground truth is somewhere, but you will never know where it is. So the dashed line around it. But we can give it a frame. What we are trying to do is to give our marketing team a frame. As in, it's like you are the pilot. You are sitting in the airplane and you are looking at the cockpit panel. You have many indicators, okay? We will not let you know exactly where the green star is, but using the 3 dots to form a triangle, somehow you can know this is slightly on the right side, this is slightly on the downside. Maybe I should invest a bit more in A. I should lower a bit more in B so that I continue to iterate the testing out there. And it takes us quite some time to explain, you know, we're actually not going to, we're not magicians. We're not going to help you find exactly where the ground truth is, but we have incrementality, we have the framework, we still have attribution. It's not perfect, it's partial. We have different kind of attribution. We can take the first attribution error, and we can look at the re-attribution as well. So people who uninstall the game and come back again, you know, they're still counted as credits to marketing. And also on macro level, that's a concept 20 years ago, literally, and this year has especially hit it, marketing mix modeling. You also have that. So combining those 3, we give you a frame, and then you can fly in blind as you wish. Puzzle time. Okay, for those who are still here with me. Now you're all Gameloft data scientists, even for the curious ones. We want to predict trainers. The definition of trainer is meaning that you literally just leave the game, okay? You don't come back to the game again. So among our current active players, who will train? This is our usual routine step as data science. So we define what is train. If you didn't come back to the game consecutively for X days, you are the trainer. Is a supervised learning. We have the labels, and we will consider the binary classification. We go to our data, we study the player behavior data, we train the model, and we predict. And then we check the performance. Is the model performing good? What's the top features? Okay. So what's the puzzle? We end up with 2 top features. The first feature is, okay, very intuitive. If you are already not active, obviously you are going to be not active. Yeah. How many recent days you are inactive? And the second top feature is crash sessions. Okay, how many times you crash the game? Obviously, if you have a very bad experience, you probably do not want to play anymore. That's our hypothesis, yeah? But the crash sessions is negatively correlated with the trend score. So the higher the number of your crash sessions, actually the less likely you are going to leave the game. Let me say again. The lower number of your crash sessions, the more likely you are going to leave the game. You're not going to play anymore. But okay, should we just increase the crash rate for our players to make them stay? Are we going to share that with our game teams? Okay. Time for volunteers to help us solve the puzzle. Why? As a data scientist at Gameloft, what are you going to talk to your next meeting with our game team? Yeah.
Assuming this is not normalized, players who just play more, who have more games, there's a higher probability of them crashing more. But maybe you have those players who just enter the game, play a little bit, they don't like the experience, and they churn out without just having the opportunity to crash so many times. So this is also the big numbers problem. Maybe.
Thank you for saving us time. You got exactly the right answer. So, okay. I tested this puzzle at different occasions, and sometimes I wait for the second answer to be the right one. Exactly. So, I'm a player that I really love playing the game, regardless of whatever. Okay, I got a crash, but it's okay, I come back. So I continue play. And obviously, I'm not a churner. And obviously, the model is smart enough to pick up the feature. And it's not something that I will tell our game teams. It's something maybe the feature is indicating that model is smart enough, but it's not something that we are going to take action to increase the crash for our players so that they will stay. There's a difference between correlation and the causation, of course. Yep. Yeah. So, skip the reinforcement learning. Our colleagues are having that. I think the last summary is the formula for the iterative success. In the end, it always comes back to this chart. Remember this chart? And I'm going to skip that as well, as in, I think you got enough in the conference. Anyways, final slide, takeaways. Game practitioners, thank you for being here. Talk to your DS team. See if they can support you through the other way. You need to be early involvement in every process. I've never seen any success if it's an idea just out there and in the end is a success. Data practitioners, game industry is a fun place, but we are still the supporting role. So gather your ideas from your team sitting next to you. I think it will spark some ideas together, especially for application. And for curious ones, I hope next time you open your game and you play it, you think about why the game is showing you stuff like that. Start to think beyond the scene. Every decision has many data science contribution behind it, I would say. So thank you for listening, and yeah, let's grab a chat afterwards if you are more interested in the topic. Thanks.
Thank you, Siyu, and a certificate of appreciation for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, this was a very informative talk and an inspirational one. It's hard to end it without any questions, but like Siyu said, this is a chance for you to network a little and find her after and ask your questions.